topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Al. Good morning. Gosh, shows you where my head's at. Good afternoon, Illinois. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. We bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have got a great show for the next 50 minutes. I got to tell you, debt relief is so important, and we're going to give you two shows for the price of one. We're going to give you a bankruptcy show. We've got one of the finest bankruptcy attorneys in Illinois and tax relief, two big areas. And we're going to be talking about both areas of law. You know what's so great about this show is we know there's so many people out there who, whether you're thinking about going into bankruptcy or if you have a tax situation, it's a huge burden on your shoulders. After today, just sit back and listen. We're going to take all those burdens off. We have one of the finest lawyers in the state of Illinois. Let me introduce you to attorney Kevin Benjamin. Good afternoon, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm so good. God, I got to tell you, when it comes to debt relief, the two most important areas are bankruptcy and tax relief. And we're going to be talking about both of them today. Tell people about your practice, first of all.
Well, we're basically consumer, but also business law firm, more debt relief. We do debt restructuring, bankruptcy, all kinds of like Chapter 7, Chapter 11. For corporations, Chapter 11 for individuals, Chapter 13 for individuals, bankruptcy litigation, loan workout and restructurings, tax resolution, obviously IRS and state, resolving tax debt for people. And that's, foreclosure related stuff, because most people are losing their home. They either need to restructure the loan or maybe just get a cure and maintain plan with the bankruptcy court Chapter 13 and just keep your house. All the time, the lenders basically tell you you're behind. They won't take your payment unless you pay all the arrears. That's not true. You could actually make them do it, but so we do stuff like that. Help people in foreclosure, keep their houses, get out of debt, IRS taxes, stuff like that.
Hey, Kevin, this is going to date myself. There's two areas that I don't ever hear much about anymore. One is loan modification, and the other one is short sale. Why do we not hear about those anymore?
Because a lot of the scams are going into new scams now. Now, I'm not saying like a short sale is a scam, okay? But like during the meltdown where, everyone was underwater, short sale. So all the realtors say, hey, short sale. We're listing property, we do short sales. Other lawyers say, hey, we'll do short sales, the real estate lawyers, right? Then the bankruptcy lawyers, like, you don't actually have to do it. So everyone was, in that market. Short sale, basically, if you're underwater, you try to get the lender to take less. But there's like other ways on foreclosure solutions. I mean, there's, deed in lieu and, compromises and short sales and, ways to resolve a foreclosure. But a short sale is not automatic. The problem is with the short sales is people think, oh, I'm just going to, do a short sale and then buy it cheap. It doesn't work that way. You're still buying it for value, a little bit of a discount, but the lender has a little formula of what they think the value is and a little cut. They're not giving it away. You know what I'm saying? But basically, and you got to list it because they want to make sure this is the value. These are the offers that we're getting. And you show this is the best offer and this is market value. And today, and it's $200,000 and you owe $250,000, then they may take that, right? Then the issue is you still owe the other $50,000 unless they're going to, in the short sale, if they're going to waive it. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it doesn't make a difference. But so those are other issues as well. I mean, I had a case right now, a guy, you know, we did a 13 to keep his house, and then someone's talking him into a short sale, and then like 2 weeks ago, he's like, hey, you know, because he wanted me to do the closing. I said no. He said, hey, the guy wants me to pay $8,000 to close. I said, yeah, because you don't have, after all the liens and interest and closing costs and realtor commissions, you got to take money to the table. You know, then he went close and they're suing him. Like we helped them get him out of that. But basically, that would have been a short sale, and the bank's got to say yes. Well, actually, in that case, the bank was actually getting paid. The other reasons he was getting short on the thing, he didn't have enough money. So, but the realtor didn't care. They think they're getting their commission, right? So it's not always the answer. But you know, if you're sometimes the bank, they foreclose. They're telling you they want the house. They won't take this and that, and then somebody moves. Then the bank doesn't do the foreclosure, and no one knows. And next thing you know, you still own the property. But now you got housing violations, no insurance. Someone breaks into. You got all kinds of issues. So you want to make sure you're resolving it one way or the other. A short sale resolves it. Otherwise, if you're keeping it, otherwise, if you're doing a 7 and surrendering it, you want to make sure it's surrendered. You know what I'm saying? They take ownership. So that's the short sale. So the reason you don't hear a lot about it anymore is because that's the people are going to new things. Then became loan modifications, right? But I talked to 2 people today just for over. What a bunch of BS that is. Hey, just call the bank yourself and they're going to work it out for you. No, they're not. Oh, they do all that forbearance crap. A forbearance just means they forbear for a certain period, like during COVID, right? They're getting a lot of forbearances. So they put a forbearance for a year or whatever it's going to be, right? So there's no payments until then, but when the forbearance is over, the whole thing is due. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like free, unless they agree to put it on the back end, which is not always the case. I had a guy who said, talked to them twice today, this afternoon. He's calling up, they citing someone to call the bank, is telling them it's a forbearance. I said, no, they don't have to forbear. That's not what a forbearance is. And, it doesn't work that way. If you're behind, you got to pay. They don't have to put it on the back end. There's other ways to resolve it. It's your house. You want to keep it. But the loan modification has always been crap. A lot of
scams, right? A lot of scams.
And because the bank lobby owns the country. So it used to be before 2005, you could restructure loans in a chapter like 13 or 11, right? And you still can. Vacation home, investment property, commercial property, any kind of property except one, your house. The only one you give a crap about. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. So back in 2005, when the banking lobby was buying a $100 million special interest bill to change the bankruptcy laws, it's called BAPC, the Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention and Consumer Protection Act. Giddy up, who's on board? But that's just a title. It's all crap. It's a banking protection bill, right? So, and there's ways around the anti-modification provision. But basically, instead of having no taxpayer money and solving the foreclosure crisis and just restructuring the way it used to be, they bought that because they knew they had all the refinances coming. They knew the bubble was going to burst. So they bought that. Here comes the bubble. Then they changed the law, but it's okay. We're going to do the HAMP program or the Obama program, and just call the bank yourself. And then it's like the devil is like going to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, they're going to do it. Good luck. Then they're saying, oh, I need another document. I here they fill out this application, do this. Then they have a thing called dual tracking. So like Illinois and Florida, for example, is our judicial lien states. If you foreclose, it's a lawsuit, right? So they file a lawsuit. You can't get the property at a certain time. So then you're doing a trial mod, or oh, you don't need a lawyer. It's being reviewed. It looks good. Make some trial payments. Tick tock until you get to the end, right? Then they say denied. A trial payment doesn't mean crap. Doesn't mean you got a loan mod. The guy again today had trial payments. He's like, hey, they took all the money. Of course they did. Doesn't mean that they have to give you a modification. And then sometimes when they give you a modification, it's a higher payment. So it's ridiculous. Okay. Oftentimes, also the loan mod scam, they didn't need that because a lot of people have what they call 80-20 loans back then. So you had one, you're closed, but you got two mortgages, 80-20. Well, in a Chapter 13 or 11, you do what's called a lien strip. So depending on the equity, let's say your second mortgage was $200,000, you're paying $1,000 a month, right? Well, you could just strip it, make it unsecured, pay it as the rest of the unsecured creditors, whether it's full or 10 cents or 2 cents on the dollar, right? But now you just, in my example, you just got rid of $1,000 of your payment. There's your mod. You don't need a mod.
Right.
Boom, you still do it by the court. So and everyone's like, oh no, I need it because the bank. But then you're paying credit cards $500, $700, $800 a month, right? You're not qualifying for a mod. You're paying credit cards. They pull your credit report. Oh, you're paying $500. So I'm the bank. I'm secured. I'm going to lower my thing so you can pay your unsecured credit card. It's not going to happen, right? So people don't get that. I really need it. But then when I talk to them back in those days, I say you don't really need it because if I change this to unsecured, get rid of that $1,000, there it is. Oh, and I have a court order doing it. So the loan mod then became all the realtors who were doing short sales, and that dried up. They're all in the loan mod business, right? All the mortgage guys, all the mortgage brokers, all in the loan mod business now. Hey, they're going to run like credit reports, security audits. Hey, there's a problem here. You go to a seminar. They sold the note. Show me the note. All that BS. So they just went to different scams. And then that's pretty much, over with. So now they're on to, the new thing, debt consolidation, pennies. You hear these things on the radio. Hey, there's the laws the banks don't want you to know about. Give me a call. And you have the right to get rid of you could settle your debt if the bank agrees to it. But there's no law that it's just crazy. And people buy it, man. They buy into that stuff because they're desperate. And these national scam artists, they have the call centers, man. They know how to push your buttons. That's how they got the short sale scams and how you got the loan mod scams. They tell you what you want to hear, but when it's your house, you want to believe it. You know what I'm saying? You got 4 kids. Yes. Okay, it's okay. Thank you. You saved my life, but no one actually saved you. So they prey on that. They're predators, is what they are. The thing is, the government wants you to keep your house. If you can afford it.
I would think so.
I just got off a call with the one guy I was just telling you about. I could do a 13 for the guy, but he owes about $120,000 in arrears. He could maybe afford it, but I could do an 11 and get more than 5 years. Sometimes up to life alone, depending. It's got to be reasonable. But there's different kind of cases. So that's why you need someone like myself, who actually is not a call center or one of those guys on TV just trying to do volume and just try to, churn and burn. It's like customizable. I'm doing this over 35 years. Use my expertise. You know what I'm saying? So I know what to do. I know the options you could have, and get rid of it. So,
Kevin, I want to ask you really an important question that a lot of people have heard of but don't really understand. There's 3 major bankruptcies, 7, 11, and 13. Can you explain each one of those? Yeah.
So there's all kinds of, I'll tell you the ones no one does. So Chapter 9 is for governments. Chapter 12 is for farmers. 11 is like cross-border insolvency. But generally speaking, the 7, 13, and 11. Chapter 11 is generally a corporate restructuring of debt. Stay in business, but they restructure their debt, right? An individual can do in a Chapter 11. Sometimes they have to because there's debt limits or other reasons, right? That's more complicated, right? But generally speaking, a person does a 7 or 13. A Chapter 7 is a straight bankruptcy, and a 13 is like a court-ordered bill consolidation, a personal restructuring of debt. The way a corporation will restructure in Chapter 11, a person restructures in 13, but it's simpler, more affordable, easier, and it's a court-ordered bill consolidation. It's really all it is. I got some people calling, they're freaking out. I'm scared of that. What are you scared about? You keep all your assets, all your liabilities. If you can pay it faster than 5 years, you don't have to. You're saying they encourage 13s because you're paying people. So it's you're not a crook. I'm saying? You just, you cut interest. You do sometimes pay less than 100% on the dollar. Some bills in full, some on pennies on the dollar, whatever it takes, right? Chapter 7 is a straight bankruptcy. You get discharge of your dischargeable debts, whatever that means, right? So you have secured debt and unsecured debt, in two categories. Secured debt, more like a mortgage, a car payment, those are the most usual secure ones, right? You have the option, keep it and pay for it, or give it back and owe nothing. So you're way underwater. I mean, I just did one guy had 2 cars. So before we did this case, he's got rid of those 2 cars, got one more affordable, and then we're just going to surrender those 2 cars, and the underwater amount is just gone. All they're entitled to is the security. The rest of it becomes an unsecured debt. When you have a car or you get a house, you get a mortgage, right? In a promissory note, the promissory note you sign, I borrowed, $200,000, right? That's unsecured. The mortgage simply gives them an interest in the collateral, which is the house or the car. So if you don't pay, they get the collateral. That's all they get. And it's worth what it's worth. And they sell it, and there's cost, and then they credit you, and there's a negative balance, and that's it. So, but you have the option of keeping it and paying for it, or giving it back on nothing. Unsecured debt, like student loans, are generally not dischargeable, but they've been easier lately, at least under the Biden administration. But now we have a new administration coming, so we'll see what's going to happen with that. Like IRS taxes, people say it's not dischargeable. Well, generally speaking, it's not, but there's exceptions to it. And there's other, debts incurred by fraud, child support, criminal stuff. You run over your ex-spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend intentional tort, you're not going to be found in bankruptcy on that. So there's exceptions to discharge. Then if you file a 7, they can contest it or not. So let's say you're a creditor, they want to contest their loan. They don't care about the whole case. Hey, they gave me false financial information. They induced me. I contest the dischargeability of my debt to this debtor. The other way to do it is contest the whole case. Bad faith filing. They're not disclosing all their assets or their liabilities. They're not being truthful and correct. They're not the unfortunate debtor who needs a fresh start. They're not good. Saying, I got a case right now. I got someone. I wasn't their lawyer. Actually, they're pro se, and then they did it themselves, and then they got a lot of problems. So they hired me. I'm trying to get them out of that, and then or resolve it, I should say. And then so it's not filing forms like the one person I was just telling you about. I had to bring him in. How'd that work out for you? Oh, you just filed a form and fill in some blanks and you file a case. No.
Doesn't work that way.
You don't know how the exemptions work. You're signing on a penalty of perjury. You don't know the power the creditors have. You don't know $250,000 fine, 5 years in jail. It's not a joke. So and that happens a lot. Like in the old days, you go to the meeting of creditors, trustee meeting, right? And there'd be a big sign in the meeting room, bankruptcy fraud, section so and so, and then it's to come to Jesus. So then you go to the meeting, and these debtors would be like, "Oh yeah, this and this. How come it's not listed? I told my lawyer. Yeah, sure you did." What I'm saying? So but now it's like it's by Zoom. But my partner, who's also my wife, she does the Zoom. She's like, some of the Zooms now they have that on the Zoom. So people know and people come to Jesus, so to speak. But you're supposed to come to Jesus before you. I'm your lawyer. You tell me stuff before I file so I can tell you what to do and how it works, I'm saying, and protects you and do things. Because 90% or more of the time, when someone thinks it's a problem, it's not. Or it's a problem that can be resolved in a certain way. That's why you have a lawyer. Or timing of it, or exemption planning, all this kind of stuff. It's not going on Google and thinking you know everything, or going to some seminar, or talking to your moron friend who thinks there's some wannabe attorney. Oh, here's how you do it. I know someone who did it. No, that's how you get in trouble.
So those commercials we see on TV, and I got a text that just came in. Those commercials we see on TV that they can file for you. That's crap, isn't it?
Who files for you? Like these non-lawyers?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's some websites. It's really the unlawful practice of law, but there are some of these crap sites that you fill in the blanks, right? But they're not, they're not legal guys. They can't tell you the exemptions or how to do it or how you list it or if it's a problem or not. It's not filling in a blank. Everyone thinks it's just a form. Then that's how you get really screwed. So no, I would not do that. There's all those companies, they eventually go down, or they're all on the internet looking for we're a national company looking for local attorneys to try to bail them out. So they want to say, hey, we have they call me out like this.
You know what, Kevin? Remember Robert Shapiro, OJ's lawyer? Yeah. He got involved in that, and I read a thing. He jumped out of that so fast.
No, he did a legal Zoom, right? Or legal, right? One of those he did.
Yeah, he got out of it.
Right. So, those are hard, because you're giving, I don't get it. Like, as a lawyer, we have all these credentials, or we got to do continuing education or take the bar, and, we can't say or do certain things. But then you have these non-lawyers who can come in and do anything they want to do, which is unlawful practice of law. But because they're not lawyers, they're not under the jurisdiction of the bar or the regulatory agency, so they don't do anything about it because they can't. I'm saying, and the government, Attorney General, they're busy. So it's amazing how these commercials are even allowed. I'm saying debt consolidation, consumer all your debts. They're taking all the money. You're making payments to them. They're pocketing it. They're going to settle it later. No, they're not. Well, if you got 10 creditors, they better all settle, or else what? Now you paid this, and you wind up filing bankruptcy anyway. And there's a thing called preferential transfer or fraudulent transfer. Then you get all kinds of problems, and you're not saving any money. And it takes you forever. Where if you file bankruptcy, you put it behind you. It's 4 to 5 months. You're done. Fresh start. The first step to getting your credit fixed is to get out of debt. You move on.
We got a text from a listener in Chicago. Kevin, I love your show. I don't ever miss it. I've been listening to you for the last year. Now I've got a problem. He filed for bankruptcy 2 years ago, and he discovered a bill that he did not include in the bankruptcy. Can he go back and amend it?
Him or his lawyer? I
just said, can he go back and amend it?
Well, I don't want to give legal advice on the thing, but I will tell you this. First of all, you can call me.
But he can call you, though.
There's a case law on that, okay? What kind of bill is it? Did they have notice? Did they have an objection? So sometimes it could be a situation where
your fan club.
Sometimes it wouldn't matter, it happens, I've gotten some of those. Shoot the creditor a letter or give them the case law, they go away. One time 6 months ago, the guy didn't do it. I filed a motion to compel and sanctions, and then he realized I wasn't playing game. But otherwise, depends on the bill. There's a way to do it. So do you have to amend? Depends. Okay, like if it's around here in the 7th Circuit, you don't really need to amend. If it's an unsecured bill, that would have been discharged anyway. But would it have been discharged anyway? I don't know. I don't know your case. So I'm just saying for general purposes.
They can contact you for that.
Yeah, you can come in. And you can do it yourself, or any lawyer could amend it for you. I've had people, hey, it's just file. We got to reopen. You got to pay the court to reopen. You amend, close the case. It's not hard. It's just a couple routine motions, but it's some court time and stuff like that. But how much is the bill also? You know what I'm saying? So, there's all kinds of things. So do you have to amend? Maybe. Depends. That's but oftentimes you don't. But you don't want to just ignore the situation either. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not amending for a reason, you got to have your lawyer contact them and explain to them why, and so it's on record. I had a case guy owed me, another one. I always try to give examples. They're coming after my guy for 2 years. So my client said, give it to me, right? So I write the creditor a letter. Well, what's the debt for? Because they give a bill. I thought it was a scam. It's like, no, even no letterhead. I'm like, this guy sounds like a scam. I'm saying. So then it turns out it wasn't a scam. There's some BS company. And I said, here's the date of the discharge and blah, blah, blah. And then they call me, well, maybe it was before. Well, show me. But at least they acknowledged it. I'm saying, and I have the email receipt. So, and they acknowledged, hey, you're right. It was this day, but maybe if it was, I said, well, show me if it was a debt after they filed the case, different story. But if you're not showing me that, I'm just telling you what the law is. And it's discharge. And okay, I'm not suing you right now, but now you're on notice. So once you're on notice and you do it, you're not violating the automatic stay. You're violating the discharge order. The judges don't like that. Okay, but they also don't like you running to court just trying to sue for saying, like give them fair warning and just make it go away. But sometimes these people are like they don't want to listen. But oftentimes they know it's not dischargeable. Like the debt buyers, they just pound you with letters. They buy discharged debt. You don't owe them any money, but they buy it for pennies. Send out thousands of letters for 35, whatever it costs you to stamp these days, or 50 cents, whatever it is. And people voluntarily pay, or they say, hey, you owe 10 grand, but I'll take 1,500 on payments. Wow, it's a good deal. Really? You don't know anything. But then they don't call their lawyers, so they think they got to pay. But so that's not illegal because it's a voluntary payment, but it's kind of a scam because they buy it so cheap, and then so it's profitable. As long as it's profitable, people keep doing it. When it's not profitable, they do something else.
Kevin, are there eligibility requirements for bankruptcy?
Yeah. So, like Chapter 7, they have this thing called, even other for 11 also, a means test. It's an income test where the government has a certain formula that try to say how much you make or how much discretionary income you have, even though it's not really what you have. So they made it, they try to make it harder to file 7. So depending on the household and the county and the state, there's a different income numbers, and they change every couple of years. They just changed on November 1. So the more dependents you have, the bigger household, the more money you can make to do it. But if you're over, like I just filed one 2 days ago. I mean, I think it was like 68,000 was the means test number, and they're at 100. But I qualified them because there's deductions you could take. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you got to have a lawyer also. It doesn't take 5 minutes. I spent hours trying to get them under and barely did. And then filed the case before it was going to go over in the next month. So also, if you're a non-consumer debtor, you're exempt from the means test. So if more than half your debt is non-consumer related or business related, then you're exempt from the means test. I got one filing now that they qualify because it's exempt from the means test. Otherwise, in the Chapter 13, the means test just dictates if you're paying back your discretionary income, the government, current monthly income, over a 3-year period or 5. 5 is max. If you qualify for 3 years, you can still go 5 to get a lower payment, but it's a different formula. So if you're under median, so you're under median, you go 3 years, and then your disposable income is what's your in the old days, like your I&J, income minus expenses, that's your disposable income. If you're over median, your disposable income is what the government says it is, not what it really is. And you got to pay X into the pot. But there's ways to adjust that as well. I got one that was, according to the formula, it's like over $10,000, $12,000 a month. Doesn't really have that, right? But with the adjustments, it was only a few grand. But it takes time, and you got effort, because how much you pay back in a 13 depends on your the means test, also the liquidation analysis. Assets minus liens minus exemptions. Creditors must get paid what they would have gotten in a Chapter 7 if you supposedly liquidated. So let's say you have $40,000 and $30,000 with exemptions and liens, $10,000 non-exempt, right? Okay, so let's say it's 100 grand to make it even. Okay, so 10,000 non-exempt. So on paper, technically, the creditors may have gotten 10 grand, right? But so you do a Chapter 13, and you're paying unsecured creditors 10 cents on the dollar based upon 10,000 over 100 on the liquidation test. Still got to look at the means test and other stuff, but you pay less than 100%. Okay? Or in that kind of example, I've done 2 just the last month where we actually with clients' advice, let's file it, because the trustee may not take it, because how much is not exempt and how much you owe dictates what a reasonable distribution to the creditors is. And by the way, if you get, why pay 10 grand over 3-5 years? If you have it, or you could pay to the trustee over 4, 5, 6 months, and just be done with the case. Get out of 100 grand. But my job is, what are your options, the pros and cons? So of these two, the trustee tried shaking down. So we settled for 4 grand over 4,000 a month, right? And quite frankly, I don't think my client even had to do that, because I thought the trustee was actually wrong, because I think he inflated the number to try to get. But anyway, they thought they said it was a $13,000 issue. It wasn't. It actually was 9 or 10 though. I'm saying, but they took 4, right? So now I got one that was 10 or 14, and the trustee, based upon the creditors, agreed with me. Is like, it's not worth it. So it's disclosed, so she keeps it all. I'm saying, so so my job is advice and counsel, legal advice and counsel. What are your options, the pros and cons of each? You make an informed decision. My client can do whatever they want. I just that's my opinion, and I'll give it to them. But that's really all it takes. So it's not rocket science. It's not U.S. Supreme Court stuff. It's debt relief, but it's not filling out a form either. You should have a lawyer, and the fees are reasonable on a base case. Everyone calls it. Mine's easy. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But if it's not, then you definitely need somebody, And if it is, the fees to make it sure it goes right, to have representation is not a whole lot.
Well, let's move over to tax relief. Kevin, we got so many letters. Facebook and YouTube promote your show before it comes on. Okay. And we got so many letters after the elections, people wanting to know what is going to happen. Is the IRS going to dial down? Or are they going to be as strong as they were when Biden was in office?
Stronger. So they got the money, right? Excuse me, let me get my camera back on. I just lost you. Where'd you go? Okay, you're somewhere. Well, can you see me? Can you see me?
I can see you, yes.
Okay. Hit the wrong button here. Oh, here. Because when someone called it, my computer goes crazy. So no, it's going to be worse. So they had the money from before. They've invested. They're hiring more agents. Blah blah blah. The COVID 3-year period where they kind of backed off, that's gone. They're coming full force. And then we expect starting in January again, even more collection notices, levies, liens. They want the money, okay? But they can settle too. I mean, but it's not magic. It's not like these other scammers. Like, so you have the bankruptcy scam, the lost loan mod and credit card and short sale, all that crap. Now you have the offer and compromise, settle for pennies on the dollar. We're geniuses. That's all BS. That's not how it works. Okay. So it's not you don't negotiate with the IRS. You don't pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I'm a lawyer. I'm a shrewd guy. I'm going to shake him down. It's just a formula. It's just like bankruptcy liquidation analysis. It's IRS standards, different standards than they have in bankruptcy, different valuations, a discounted amount that they give you, and you argue the reasonable collection number, okay? Reasonable collection potential, RCP. The IRS will settle for the reasonable collection number, right? So what's the number? That's negotiable, the number. It's not negotiable by magic. We just call it. It's like, here's my assets, here's my liabilities, here's the value, here's quick sale value. Here, how do you get this value? How do you get that value? Or you're taking a car payment, but the car's over in 2 months, and they don't want to give you that credit, but they really have to. But it's all under the Internal Revenue Code, Internal Revenue Manual, where bankruptcy is bankruptcy code and bankruptcy rules and local rules. It's all just playing a game, knowing the rules. Okay, so that's how you negotiate. You negotiate on the values, or what's exempt and what's not exempt, what can actually be collected or not, or what's the hardship. So like in a IRS situation, it's usually, okay, offer and compromise or installment agreement, there's different kinds. Then they have what's called a CNC, currently non-collectible, which means that right now, we'll give you up to 2-year break if you show me this is just like a hardship. I'm saying if I leave you this, you can't feed your family. You know what I mean? So they give you a break, but they don't go away. Up to 2 years, they may back off. Then there's what they call effective tax administration. Basically, it's just crazy to go after the person. It's a hardship and just let it go. But those are the main two are the offer and compromise or installment agreement. Installment agreements either full pay or partial pay, right? And offer and compromise is different numbers. Are you under 25,000, 0 to 50, under 100,000, under $1 million? I mean, are you having a revenue officer or agent? Where are you in the process, which dictates what documentation you need and how fast it's going to go and what you got to show. Whether sometimes it's streamlined. Somebody may be under have $55,000. All right, pay 6. Let's get under 50. Now I could do a streamlined one, and it's a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways to maneuver things. Also, depending on how much you owe, maybe you want to do a Chapter 13 or Chapter 11 and pay it. I mean, or maybe you could discharge it in bankruptcy. See, with me, it's the same thing as if you're going bankrupt. What are your options, pros and cons, 7, 13, 11, depends on the dollar combination. What are you going to do? Same thing, here. It's like, I'm not saying file bankruptcy, but my job is, are you dischargeable? I got one on my desk right now. They're over $1 million. They got 465 that could discharge in bankruptcy, but there's different dates where different amounts are eligible. Okay, but you also have to be eligible to file bankruptcy. On assets. Also, if there's a tax lien that survives, I'm saying, so then that's now a secured tax debt. So there's tax debt, there's priority and non-priority. Non-priority means it's dischargeable. Priority means it's generally not. Then there's secured, which means it's only secured by whatever the security is. So sometimes the security is worthless. Now I'm about to file a case in Florida today or tomorrow. Got 12 federal tax liens. Million, several, but the property only worth this, so it's not all secured because it's not all really there. But tax lien, people don't understand. So the government files the tax lien. It's on all your personal and real property, no matter where it is. So I have clients call. I don't see it on my, because it's not on your one. It's on everything, including what you get in the future for 10 years, right? So, and they can be renewed. I got one in Wisconsin going right now. They're about to sell the guy's house. He just retained me last week. I wasn't his lawyer when he got zapped. But I'm going to not let him sell the house. But, my guy filed, we were going to file Chapter 13 or even 11 to pay it over time. But I was talking to my guy. I'm like, he has equity now. I mean, I could do that, I'm saying, or I could do that and stop if I have to and let him pay it off. But right now they have an order to sell, right? But it's not being sold yet. And I talked to the U.S. attorneys today, and I'm like, I may have the money for them in 2 weeks. So, they want the money. You know what I'm saying? In this case, they have a federal judgment. You owe this, and a federal order to sell to pay this. Okay, but they've got the money, so if we just give it to them, it's not criminal. You just pay it. But they want to make sure we're actually going to do it. Otherwise, they will sell the property. But if it was being sold next week, I could stop it with a 13 or 11 and make him take a payment. But my guy, I'm trying to make it like, well, if I could avoid the filing for you, then I will. Okay. Also, if you file, you got to put down certain things, and you're under penalty of perjury. And I don't know, other people were doing offering compromises for him, and they're giving IRS documents. And I don't know what they gave him or if it's real or what. I don't want to have a problem from my guy if I don't have to. I'm saying, so I don't want him to sign anything. Why file and sign things, and they're coming after you for this when I just pay him and you're done. They drop the case and my guy's happy. But you got to monitor it. I'm saying, so we're not a call center. I'm not. We're not like saying how many cases can we do today. My clients get my direct number. Like you heard the phone's ringing. I'm busy right now. Well, I'm saying, but or if I'm in court or Zoom, if I'm but there's a main number. We have text only lines also. Main number, my direct line, secure message portal. lots of ways to communicate with me, okay? And you don't need to call me every 5 minutes. I got a letter in the mail. You don't need to call me. Send me the message, send me the letter. I'll tell you, that's a simple question. Because I could do that when I'm on a Zoom, when I'm on Zoom court.
Right.
I mean, because Zoom court, half the time I'm just sitting on my chair waiting to be called. So I'm checking messages or, and I mean, Zoom court's great. I mean, that's one thing about COVID that happened. This is like, you get so much more bang for your buck instead of sitting in court for like 2 or 3 hours for like 5 minutes before the judge, and you waste half your morning, because you can't do anything, So now it's like, you're multitasking. So it's very easy to do that. You don't need to call me every 5 minutes, but sometimes you have to, or sometimes.
Kevin, I think one of the great things that you accomplish for your clients is once they sign on with you, they don't have to talk to the IRS anymore.
Yeah, that's true. They don't like talking to the IRS.
Well, you get yourself in a mess when you do that. Sometimes
I don't like talking to them either. I mean, some of them are very nice, I'm saying, but it's a big bureaucracy government. I mean, my guy's trying to do there's a tax lien, and we're trying to sell one of the properties to finance a nice couple $100,000 down payment on an installment agreement, right? But because you can't pay off the whole lien, I got to have them subordinate or discharge the lien. And there's paperwork, but it's like they won't even give me since August. I'm trying to get who's the revenue. Every time I call them, they don't know what the business and I'm like, you kept threatening until they got me. You kept threatening everybody. Now we're trying to pay you. And now they say, oh, you got to amend the returns. We did. Kevin, it takes 16 weeks. Why? It takes 90 days for, no, it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So then there's a taxpayer advocate I may have to call. There's different ways to go over things, or you keep calling back and get somebody else on the phone. But like I had a guy yesterday, nice guy. He's trying to help. But I said, look at the notes from September 24th. Another guy I talked to, and he said this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why doesn't one hand know the other? We're just trying to give you money.
Right.
Okay? But the loan that we have on this deal is expiring. So it's like, so my client's under the gun, so I'm under the gun, so I'm going to put them under the gun. So why does it take so long? But it does. They move slow. Even if you're paying in full, depending on the where you're at in the collection process, it still has to be approved, and it could take months. Okay. Meanwhile, you're making your payments, which is fine, but it's not over until it's over. But that's why you get a professional. It's like sometimes we're doing it, like on this one case, I'm doing a lot today and yesterday because it's urgent. But other times you're kind of in a holding pattern. I had one guy got scammed on the ERC, Employment Retention Credit. So he hired me, and I'm like, what's going on? So the IRS agent, faxing me because they don't do email. He wanted, as I was bringing him in, right? Then the guy's like, okay, we could just fax me the questions. So I did an affidavit. So my guy got scammed. He got scammed by this company, and he didn't even Google it. And then they knew. They knew. Okay. He just signed what they said because he has no employees. So he isn't entitled. But he doesn't know. He's just a guy who does his as a contractor. Some guy says sign here, and you're entitled to this credit. Okay, you're the professional. He doesn't know. He never got any money out of it. And he didn't. So now, like, okay, we'll go after this guy. We found Kevin, have him cancel. So I can't cancel because to cancel the credit, the procedure is I have to take the returns and mark them canceled. And he never doesn't have the returns. He never saw them. The guy had them in an envelope and they were just mailed. So just about an hour ago, the IRS faxed me something. I said, can you fax me then can you give me the returns and we'll cancel them? And so the guy just faxed it over and told me how to do it for my guy, because my guy's telling the truth. I mean, I know when someone's lying or someone's scamming. But it's the ERC is a common scam. I mean, I got besieged with emails on that. My dad's a CPA. He's my accountant, right? At one point, I'm like, is this real? I mean, it seems like a scam to me, but you hear it 10 times, 15 times. But it was a scam. I mean, I did a little more research on it. But, it's powerful. I mean, people don't know. You get a refund. It's COVID. Okay, there was a lot of money coming off COVID. But, so the scammers were like doing your return, not telling you. They even falsely signed your name, which is a felony. Right? And then they're saying I get half the refund as my fee. And then they keep calling the client, get the money, get the money, get the money. So eventually my guy says, no, the government's guy went AWOL. But so the scammers, it's a numbers game. You know what I'm saying? So
are there still a lot of scams, IRS scams going on?
Yeah, I mean that's one of them. Is that's the new one right now? Is the ERC scam? People calling to be they may try to tell you that you're a IRS agent. All kinds of things going on.
So you really got to be careful.
Every day it's something else. They have phishing attacks. They have the offer and compromise mill scams we're talking about, right? Hey, you're on TV. Just call us. We settle pennies on the dollar or offer and compromise. Most people don't qualify for an offer and compromise, but you call one of these mills, everyone qualifies. Just give me another. I'm saying, and then it's only you're only paying a call center. They get their cut, their commissions, the sales guy, right? No one's really doing it, or they're doing it half-assed because I did it. Same on it's equivalent to the loss or the loan mod scams. Sometimes the loan mod companies, some of them are just scamming, but some would do it and fill out the paperwork, but they're doing it half-assed, or they're putting in false information for the client, having the client sign it. I mean, it's all kinds of issues. And they have the pandemic-related scams, abusive arrangements with people. I mean, it's always something. The IRS is not going to just call you, and no one's coming to arrest you. Okay. I mean, there is criminal tax division, so maybe that's stuff that you can get arrested. I'm saying if you're in the criminal tax collection. As a matter of fact, what I was just telling you on that one guy who was getting scammed on the ERC, when I got involved, the agent told me it isn't criminal. And I told my guy, it's in criminal, but the agent was like, when I showed him the information, he's not the criminal. It's the other guy. So, but you got to show, but if you don't respond, they don't know. Right. So you got to get a lawyer and respond. So
exactly.
Otherwise, because
we've only got a couple minutes left. Tell people how they can contact you.
Kevin Benjamin, BenjaminLaw.com, also NobleTaxRelief.com, but it's me either way. 312-853-3100. Just go to the website, BenjaminLaw.com, NobleTaxRelief.com, attorneys, plural, at BenjaminLaw.com. 312-853-3100. Give me a call.
Kevin will be back again with us next month. More Ask the Experts. Kevin, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December.
Take care. Nice talking to you.
Thanks. That's attorney Kevin Benjamin. He's a wonderful bankruptcy and tax relief attorney. That's it for us today. We'll be back with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.